Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Progressive Discussions.
Welcome.
We are broadcasting live from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey, about 20 minutes or so west of Midtown Manhattan. And we are live on YouTube. For the second time ever since 2009?
2003, 2004.
I believe it was, no, as far as video goes, I believe we went on the air at the end of July 2009, I believe, yes, is when we our very first video show. So this is our second live show. Okay, this special. Oh, by the way, my name is James P. Madonna of Mega Life 21, and I am here with my co-host and mentor and the very founder of Newsletter Censored in 1977, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. How are you feeling this week, sir?
Hey.
All right. You're there. You're alive. We are drinking, this time, Yinling's Lord Chesterfield Ale. Yinling, America's oldest brewery.
1829.
1829.
Thank you.
Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Okay, you can see it. Lord Chesterfield. They got a nice picture of Lord Chesterfield. I don't know the details and the history of Lord Chesterfield, but I have a sneaking feeling he's a real person. He's not like Aunt Jemima or the Quaker Oats man, you know, fictitious, or Mama Celeste or any. He's not a fictitious character put on a label like these other corporate American food companies. But let me take a swig.
Or like the like in the old days, the baseball players had their cards on cigarettes. You could collect their cards from smoking. Cigarette packets, yeah, had their cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Speaking of cards, I remember the huge collection of baseball cards I had as a kid. But my mother said they're collecting dust. You need to get rid of them,
baby. They're worth something today.
Boy, did I have cards. All the legends that are in the Hall of Fame, I had them. I even had some rookie cards. But, you know, all the junk that the ladies have in the house, and I mean junk, they're not collecting dust. But the man's specialties are collecting dust.
The American Pickers are on tonight, and you'll see a lot of dust there. Yeah.
7 lucky bells for this week's Progressive Discussions. Everything we discuss politically on Progressive Discussions is part of our series, Capitalism in a Conch Shell. Capitalism in a conch shell, and there's the conch. Okay. And speaking of conch on the head, I have my imported lucky Blackthorn Shillelagh from Ireland, destined hopefully for the skulls of right-wing conservative Republicans that want to either kill off the poor or enslave the poor. Either way, by taking away the measly little 2% of the total budget social services. Yes, you've heard it right. It makes up only about 2% of the total budget. Now, in this case, it's Trump Care, which is death care for the poor.
They're still working on it.
Yeah, well, they need a certain amount of votes, right, to override any filibuster from the Senate Democrats.
No, they need 51 votes to
override Democrats.
to get it passed. In the House. It's still in the House, I believe.
It's still ricocheting like a pinball machine.
Yeah, it's still in the
In the
House.
House. And there are Republicans.
Yeah, there's about 9 of them.
God bless them. There are Republicans that do not like Trump care. Of course, ugly old turtle-faced Mitch McConnell loves Trump care.
And you know, 30-some years ago,
I hear he's not shy about taking money from health insurance companies.
Right. 30 years ago, or whenever he was just getting into power and everything, he was just the opposite.
30 years ago, he was more centrist.
No, he was more for the poor.
Gee, I wonder what happened to the ugly bastard.
Money, that's what happened.
Oh, money corrupted him.
Yeah.
Money is power. Power corrupts. How's that go again? Power is money. Money's power. Corrupts absolutely.
Corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, something like that. He changed.
Oh, yes. That's exactly.
Hey, wait a minute. Is that similar to what you told me about all the hipsters from the 1960s? When they were young, they were very progressive. Then when they got older and they became financially independent,
yeah. Then they became conservative. Yeah.
Talk about sellouts.
When people get money, they tend to get conservative.
Talk about sellouts. Oh, hey, when the parents are alive, siblings are, oh, I love you, my brother, my sister. Oh, family number one. As soon as the parents take the dirt sleep, the old dirt sleep, and they pass and they die, then they're at each other's throats for the inheritance money.
Yeah.
Then there's no more, I love your brother and sister. Oh, family is number one. Yeah, family. Oh. Yeah, then they're at each other's throats.
Yeah.
The human race is a very vile species of entity. They really are. Now, speaking of the current news topics, Donald Trump, from what I understand, is getting snubbed by Poland.
No, he had a beautiful reception in Poland.
I heard they had a bus in a cheering.
That's Germany.
A fake cheering crowd.
Germany. They're going to.
Well, somebody in charge of Poland, snubbed Donald Trump, a woman.
Possible. That's Angela Merkel, maybe.
I heard Angela Merkel had words with Vladimir Putin. He had some sexist things to say, and Merkel told him off. From what I read. So, I read an article, and I see a photo in Poland where a woman that's in high political position in Poland did not care for Donald Trump.
It's possible, but he had a good reception there. The Germinators fighting in the streets.
They hate him, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure many other European countries and countries throughout the world cannot stand the Trump pansy.
And he had he was supposed to have an hour conversation with Putin today, or whatever, yesterday. It went 2 hours. Melania come in to try to interrupt it, and it went another half an hour. But
Melania's got some nerve. Doesn't she realize he's the president of the United States?
He never asked him the big question. Did you interfere with our goddamn, voting?
Well, Trump don't care because he got elected.
Oh, well, he didn't.
So Vladimir Putin traveled to Poland.
Where the hell did he meet him? I don't know.
Well, he's not. Moscow, Russia is really not a.
No, where they're meeting with the G20.
Moscow, Russia is not all that far of a plane flight.
I know, but he's not meeting him there.
So he met him somewhere else. Well, all I know is when I find the goddamn article, I'm going to put your name under it so you could read it. Being that you're contradicting me,
He's in Germany for the G20 meeting.
He got snubbed in Poland. I saw a photo of him sitting there twiddling his thumbs with everybody in the background, and he was all by himself.
No, he got a good reception. Germany.
All right, whatever. Let me see. Do I have any Chiselers Hall of Shame? I mean, not that I know of. I mean, there's really not much you can say. I mean, if it's an American-made product that has built-in obsolescence, you know, the middle class and poor in the United States really have a fucked up, shitty life because of the people that they elect. And Bernie Sanders is bringing his healthcare rallies to red states, from what I understand. Let's see how desperate and pissed off all those knuckleheads in the red states really are when Bernie Sanders brings his rallies to red states. All them dar evangelicals.
Well, I haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah. Well, he's on a tour with this anti-Trump care or Save Our Health Care, whatever the hell he's calling it, the Our Revolution organization. He's on a tour right now, and I know his first tour, his first rally was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then he was going to Ohio after that. But he's on tour, and he's going to be going to red states. And look, I mean, even a stupid imbecile that votes Republican, that doesn't have a pot to piss in, even they, when they're pushed into a corner, and they're desperate and they're hurting bad enough, even they will eventually wake up and say, "Hey, why am I voting for these people?"
Maybe they haven't until now.
What are they do? What are they doing for me? You know, it's really easy. It's really common sense. You could have a high IQ, or you could be an inbred imbecile from living down way down yonder out there in evangelical land. Doesn't matter who you are. The point is, if you vote for somebody and 4 years goes by, you have to ask yourself: is my standard of living any better? Has my life improved in 4 years or 8 years? If you're stupid enough to reelect, like they do in Kentucky, and what they did in idiotic Wisconsin with Paul Ryan, they reelected him. Has my life gotten any better? Well, if the answer is no, you don't vote for them anymore. You don't vote for them again.
But there are people who do that voting who do not equate themselves with those who run for office.
Well,
they look at those who run for office as better than them.
Oh, like the caste system of India, where you have people that have less human value than, let's say, people with money.
Yeah.
Royalty.
So
the blue bloods.
Yeah, you get into that problem. I mean, there's like in the old days with the kings and the queens and everything, and the regular people just did not feel that they were of the same quality.
That's probably what started the Bolshevik revolution with Lenin up against the czars and the tsarinas.
Well, of course.
The Romanovs, right?
But you got to have a lot of that people don't feel that way, though. Like what happened in France with the French Revolution.
Yeah.
They went back to the way it was.
And what good was the revolution?
So what good was the revolution?
What is the revolution unless you learn something?
Right.
And learning something means learning from history, so history does not repeat itself.
Or it means taking something, the phrase, all men are created equal as a reality.
Yeah, well, all men, what they should really have
And women, of
is
course.
a disclaimer at the
Yeah.
bottom. The founding Fajas, that's from Austin Powers Gold member, you know, Faja. The founding fathers should have a disclaimer, except non-white men and women. All rich white men are created equal, because I'm sure if you're penniless,
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
there was no social services to bail you out back then.
You have to know, but everybody had their own land.
Right.
And, you know, their way to make a living.
All right, there you go.
Nobody was really poor.
Oh, there you go.
There were no poor.
If you were an average citizen of the colonies of early America after 1776, you had you owned your own land, you had your own family farm.
Right.
So you produced your own food,
right,
and your own living.
Right.
Let's say you lived in a town where
Mayberry.
All right, is that a fictitious town?
Yes.
All right. What about Hooterville from was that Green Acres or Petticoat Junction?
Petticoat Junction.
All right, let's say you lived in Hooterville, where the women were very flat-chested. Anyway, you lived in Hooterville, and your father just happened to come from a long line of blacksmiths.
Right.
Well, you learned how to be an expert blacksmith and carried on the tradition, but you own your own living. You didn't have to answer to some scumbag corporate CEO like J.P. Morgan during the Industrial Revolution, who happened to screw over Carnegie and everyone else, you know, using underhanded tactics. Yeah, you know, you didn't have to answer to some supervisor or stupid advisor. You made your own living. You own your own land. You were your own boss.
You were equal.
And you had apprenticeships back then.
Yes.
Where if you wanted to be a baker, you know, you didn't have to get some expensive student loan to go to culinary school or technical school. Well, you became an apprentice. And you learn by way of on-the-job training. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm almost positive that Donald Trump did get snubbed in Poland. But when I find the article, I'll put your name underneath it. I just want to say hello, hola, greetings to my near dear, very dear friend, Natalia Rodriguez from San Diego, California. I dedicate this show to you before departing this Tuesday for San Diego and Baja, Cabo San Lucas, Ensenada, Cabo San Lucas, for 1 week. Okay, now, I'm trying to think if there's any product that I want to bash. But that pretty much sums it up. Oh, by the way, one of my LED bulbs, LED light bulbs that I got from the Dollar Tree, one of them burnt out. They're not supposed to burn out. They're supposed to last for years and years and years and years.
What happened?
I don't know. Maybe it's American made, but with built-in obsolescence. Designed to fail, designed to burn out. Very disappointed. But other than that, my LED bulbs are hanging in there. I know, oh, by the way, Walmart has a yellow one, LED bug light. Which, you know what's funny? Bug lights are yellow. But gnats are attracted to the color yellow very much. So you might be repelling other insects like maybe moths, but the gnats are going to be there.
And then the spider's going to
The gnats, the spiders.
Yeah, he's going to be there for the gnats.
You know what was strange? You had a praying mantis that I took home that time, hanging around your porch light because of the because of all the insects that were supposed to be flying away from the bug light. Instead they were flying towards the bug light. But the praying mantis is not nocturnal. It's a diurnal creature. Strange. It's strange how Mother Nature adapts to circumstances out of necessity for survival. Maybe that praying mantis decided to work the graveyard shift. Hold on. These are the levity bells. Oh, speaking of levity, before we begin with our readings, I posted a banner that cracked me up to no end. It said, had a picture of Chris Christie dressed as a cowboy with 2 6-shooters, and it said, Chris Christie, Jersey, Chris Christie, the outlaw, Jersey whale.
Whales.
As in like the outlaw Josie Wales.
Yeah.
Which was an outstanding movie with Clint Eastwood. The outlaw Jersey whale, and it has to do with the fact that Chris Christie had closed the Island Beach State Park. Had closed state parks, and he was hogging or whaling. He was hogging the entire Island Beach State Park beach to himself and his family, and they had a picture of him sitting in a lawn chair, looking very obese, and like a beached whale, and hogging. Him and his family hogged the entire Island Beach State Park to themselves. And his excuse was, well, we had pre-plans for that day, and I wasn't going to disappoint my family and break the plans. But that doesn't explain why other New Jersey residents and other people could not.
Well, it was his backyard, per se.
Go to he said he owned, it was property that he owned.
Yeah.
But does the whole state park have to be closed?
Yeah. During
the time that him and his family were going there?
No moolah for the budget.
Oh.
That's why they closed it.
Because state parks require taxpayers' money, and the rich do not like to pay any taxes at all.
No.
The greedy, stingy rich. Okay. That's it. Lord Chesterfield Ale. Let us sink our teeth into these readings.
Front.
The outlaw Jersey whale. That was so funny. I had to keep it on my Facebook profile. You know, it was absolutely hilarious.
Antibiotic resistance is causing gonorrhea to become harder and sometimes impossible to treat.
I always thought that viruses have a tendency to mutate and come back stronger. I didn't know bacteria are doing it now. How about that?
Gonorrhea, a sexually transmitted disease that can cause infertility if untreated, affects an estimated 78 million people each year.
Well, it's a very old sexually transmitted disease like syphilis, which I think might be more severe.
Yes, it is.
It's a syphilis.
Data from the 77 countries show the disease has developed resistance to some antibiotics. And an increasing number of countries are finding that the infection can become untreatable by all known antibiotics. Those numbers might be even higher because lower income countries where gonorrhea is more common might not have the systems to report untreatable infections. Theodora Huai, a medical officer at WHO, said in a statement, the bacteria that cause gonorrhea are smart.
Well, they must be to be antibiotic resistant.
Every time we use a new class of antibiotics to treat the infection, the bacteria evolve to resist them. Gonorrhea can be transmitted through sexual intercourse and can be passed on to a baby during vaginal delivery.
Oh, gee.
The infection can cause pelvic inflammatory disease and infertility if it goes untreated. WHO said factors that have led to an increase in the disease include decreased condom use.
Condom?
Condom use.
That's in raincoats.
Urbanization and travel failed treatment.
Or as Frank Costanza said on Seinfeld, prophylactic, brother.
And poor infection detection rates. WHO said that from 2009 to 2014, countries reported resistance to drugs like ciprofloxacin.
Ciprofloxacin is a strong antibiotic, very popular.
Azithromycin.
What about amoxicillin? That's very popular too.
And the current last resort treatment of extended spectrum cephalosporin.
Wait, is that the antibiotic? Cephalosporin?
Sporin.
So that's like a real potent.
That's the last resort. In most countries, ESCs are the only antibiotics still effective. The medical community desperately needs new antibiotics to treat gonorrhea, and in the longer term, a vaccine. While symptoms of gonorrhea include pain during urination,
Yikes.
discharge, and often people have no symptoms, according to WHO.
Really? No symptoms. And how the hell do you know
When you got it.
you have it? Oh,
That's why a lot of people give it to somebody else.
yeah. If you want, you can toss them over there on the floor.
You know?
That might be easier for you.
No.
All right, as long as as long as they don't recycle and come back.
Governor Christie tells the tax-paying people of New Jersey they can't use state beaches because they're not the governor.
The outlaw Jersey whale.
He is right. We also can't use the state police helicopter to go to our children's baseball games.
Oh, you mean a taxpayer state helicopter? Taxpayer run.
We cannot take 2 years off from work.
To campaign for Donald Trump, which he never got a job in Washington, by the way.
With pay to look for a better job.
Oh, with pay. Oh, that's
No,
right.
Without pay.
That's right. That's right. That's taxpayer. He's on the company he's on the taxpayers' dole campaigning for Donald Trump. That's right.
Fortunately for New Jersey taxpayers, we will have a new governor in 6 months.
Yeah, I hope it's not one of those former Wall Street employee Democrats.
It will be.
Democrats.
Maybe then the person who runs the state will be more concerned for the state's taxpayers than themselves.
Well, it's not going to be a Republican, that's for sure.
Well, they only got Guadago and
What about Gottheimer? Josh.
No, he's a
Josh is not running?
congressman.
Oh, he's not. Oh, he can't run, you mean?
Gottheimer is a congressman. He's already in there.
I thought he ran.
Phil
Murphy?
is the Democrat.
But he's a Goldman.
No shit.
He's a former Goldman Sachs boy, like John Corzine was. Well, that's not good. How is he going to feel our pain?
And what about Guadago?
Screw. I don't trust fellow Italians. They're a bunch of crooks. I ain't voting for no fucking paisan. Especially is it a Republican paisan?
Yeah, Guadago.
Oh, forget it. They're two strikes.
Yeah.
2 strikes against them.
Murphy and her. That's the ones we're running. And any independents. You know?
That's it? There's nobody in the Democratic Party besides Murphy? Nobody?
He won the primary.
You mean the big kahuna primary? Which means that there is absolutely no one else in the Democratic Party that is running for governor of New Jersey.
No one.
And he's a former Wall Street employee.
Yes, sir.
For Goldman Sachs, no less.
Yes, sir.
It just doesn't end. It doesn't end.
Well, that's what I keep saying, don't I? They keep voting them back in.
This corporatism in the United States just doesn't end.
Volvo.
Unless you vote for an independent.
Well, there you go. Is leaving conventional gasoline vehicles on the side of the road.
Oh, really? Volvo? Oh, they're taking a bold step, huh?
The Swedish brand, owned by Chinese automaker Geely,
really
said on Wednesday that any new or redesigned vehicles it launches after 2019 will be electric or hybrid.
Oh, I got to salute them. I didn't know they were bought out by a Chinese company. Of course, they will reverse engineer the Volvo, the quality of the Volvo car, which have a reputation for being very well built. But the Chinese are experts at reverse engineering things. You know? And even if they're patented, they'll thumb their nose and say, ha ha, screw you, you know, if you threaten to sue. Anyway, good for them.
The company will no longer design any new models with conventional internal combustion engines after 2019.
Well, the internal combustion engine has been old hat for many decades now.
Yeah, it has.
Many decades.
Although the announcement marks what Volvo called the historic end of pure gasoline vehicles, it will take years after 2019 for them to completely disappear off dealership lots. That's because automakers typically sell models for several years, with small improvements in the interim years before completely redesigning them. In other words, it could take until around 2025 for all new Volvo vehicles sold at the dealership to be electrics or hybrids.
That's a long time for that.
8 years.
That's too long. That's too long.
Electric cars are fully powered by batteries.
Oh shit.
And electric motors.
Duh.
While hybrids get a fuel economy boost from batteries but still run on gasoline.
Well, it's a much smaller engine for the sole purpose of recharging the battery.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it does.
This is about the customer, Volvo Global CEO
Oh, really? It's about the customer? Then why do we have to wait 8 years? Volvo CEO.
Haken Samuelson said,
Yeah.
people increasingly demand electrified cars, and we want to respond to our customers' current and future needs.
Well, then put them out. Don't make people wait 8 years.
You can now pick and choose whichever electrified Volvo you wish. The move makes Volvo the first major automaker to chart such a path. Silicon Valley automaker Tesla, which is still a niche automaker by volume, already sells only electric vehicles.
As well they should, for using the great Tesla name. Doesn't Toyota and Honda and Nissan have
Hybrids.
electric? Oh, they're hybrids. Hybrids.
Volvo said its transition would start with 3 new mainstream fully electric cars from 2019 through 2021. The automaker said its goal is to sell 1 million electric or hybrid cars by 2025 to lower its carbon footprint.
Carbon footprint right up the CEO's ass. Get those electric cars out as soon as possible, Jabroni.
We expect that the decision is also largely driven by CO2 regulations. Evercore ISI analyst Art Ellinghorst said in a note to investor referring to carbon emission standards, like other automakers, Volvo is under pressure to meet fuel economy targets, particularly in Europe, where diesel vehicles are falling out of favor.
Yeah, well, plus the price of diesel is not really cheap anymore.
Not anymore.
It's up there.
Yeah.
You know, and it stinks, and you know, and you
Makes a lot of goddamn noise.
yeah, and you have to wait for the
Heat up in the winter.
What is it, the glow plug or something? You have to wait for a light to go on.
Yeah.
You know, you got to warm it up, and yeah, but most of all, it's the price.
Yeah.
Now, big rigs have to be diesel because I think diesel has the power of being able to pull a great deal of weight. It is known, diesel engines are known for their power when it comes to like hauling large amounts of weight, like with a dump truck or with a tractor trailer.
Okay.
You know, but I don't know. I really don't know what the technology is right now for an electric powered tractor trailer. I really do not know if it has the capability of pulling a great deal of weight.
Today's Madagascar is the land of lemurs, big-eyed creatures among the most huggable on the planet.
Oh yeah, lemurs are only indigenous to the island of Madagascar. That is very true. Very unique, isolated island of very unusual species of animals. I have to run to the newsletter censored research center men's room. I try to hold off. Maybe it was a combination of the Lord Chesterfield ale and the air conditioning, but I will be back. Go ahead, continue reading.
But no one would want to hug the beast that once ruled this landscape. Newly discovered fossils reveal that about 170 million years ago, a giant crocodile with serrated teeth like a Tyrannosaurus rex haunted Madagascar. Powerful jaws and sharp-edged teeth signal it was an uber predator. Even the advanced meat-eating dinosaurs called theropods weren't immune. The croc could challenge a theropod dinosaur, said vertebrate paleontologist Cristiano Dal Sasso of Italy's Natural History Museum of Milan. Co-author of a new study on the fearsome reptile, you have an animal that was really a bone cruncher and as big as a pickup truck to boot. The primitive croc had an estimated 46 to 48 teeth, which it could replace repeatedly if one fell out.
You say croc?
Croc.
Crocodile in native to Madagascar?
Crocodile. Prehistoric croc.
And don't let us not forget the famous Madagascar hissing cockroaches.
Some teeth were serrated, like steak knives. Not even T-Rex
Really?
had bigger serrations on its teeth.
Usually sharks' teeth are serrated, which is a fancy way of saying saw-like a saw.
Other teeth were perfectly shaped for scraping flesh off bones. Tooth damage suggests that the croc, known as Razanmandrongobe sakalave,
I call them raspberry for short.
or Rosanna
Razana?
for short,
Razana.
was crunching on bones and tendons.
Wait a minute. Is this a prehistoric crocodile or already existing?
Prehistoric.
Oh, I missed that because I was in the restroom.
The researchers say in a study published Tuesday in the journal Peter J, it probably ate whatever it wanted.
Usually that's what happens when you're at the top of the food chain.
Including dinosaurs and the flying reptiles known as,
Yeah, like the pterodactyl, yes. They're cute, the pterodactyl.
Now Sasso suspects Rosanna was both a scavenger and an ambush predator, bursting out of hiding to bring down its prey.
That's what crocodilians and alligators do. They're ambush predators. They hang out near the shoreline, waiting for unwary victims to come and drink.
Unlike its living predators or relatives, the croc probably walked upright.
Really? You mean like
Like the gecko.
the gecko in the Geico commercial?
Yeah.
No, there was a ridiculous horror movie with I think it was part crocodile and part human. It was upright.
Yeah.
An upright crocodilian?
As a result, it was probably capable of pretty good speeds and probably more efficient running than modern crocodiles.
Yeah. Well, if you talk to an evangelical, they'll probably say never existed because the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
No,
like the
they
old-
say the dinosaurs and men were together. 6,000 years ago.
Oh, that's why somebody created a funny banner of Sarah Palin riding a T-Rex.
There you go.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the old Catholic Church also insisted that the Earth was only 6,000 years old, and then when this archaeologist was saying that there was no sign of the Great Flood in ancient Egypt, they got very upset.
No.
With him.
Yes, they did. This running crocodile, which can achieve 20 miles per hour.
It's fast.
The Mr. Joe Sertich of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, who was not associated with the new study, said,
"Too bad this prehistoric crocodile cannot wait and ambush Republican congressmen at the Capitol building. That would be a nice fantasy.
On their way home.
On their way on yet another long vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. Of all the legends surrounding our founding fathers, the one I like most is the one that claims that John Adams, on his deathbed, said, 'Jefferson survives.' It was July 4th, 1826, 50 years from the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson was, of course, Thomas Jefferson, the dude with the amazing hair in the original cast of Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton.
Oh, is that the image they use for the what is it, the $20 bill? Is he on the $20 bill? I forget.
I have no idea it was on the $20 bill.
I know some. I know.
But I do not
Hamilton's on the 10, right?
Jackson.
Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson might be.
I don't know who the hell's on. All I know is
they're all dead presidents.
Well, yeah. All I know is Franklin on 100, or is it the one?
No, he's on 100. Ben Franklin. That has a very annoyed look on his face.
That's all I want is those hundreds, baby.
Hundreds. You know, not one indigenous Native American is on any bill.
No bills. No.
Not even a coin anymore.
Yeah, to take the Indian heads off.
I think one of the bills should have Chief Sitting Bull on one side and an American bison on the other side to honor.
Didn't the nickel have that once upon a time?
Buffalo nickel? Yeah, bring back the buffalo nickel. Honor the bison, for God's sakes, on a nickel. I'm not a big fan of change as far as coins go. I'm a lesser fan of pennies. I hate them. I think they are the cockroach of money. I think they should discontinue pennies.
Well, they are going to one day.
And make, because I don't even know.
It costs too much to make a penny.
Because there's copper involved.
Just costs too much.
Copper is valuable. Copper is much more needed in electronics.
Jefferson and Adams both died that July the 4th. It was the cosmos working a little poetry.
They both died on the same day?
Yes. Having two founders die on July the 4th.
July 4th? How is that? That's weird.
What is significant about Adams and Jefferson is that they were both once colleagues.
Yeah.
Then bitter political enemies. And then finally, through the exchange of letters, they became friends. They were two men who had held the highest office in the nascent nation that was America.
Yeah, weren't the Republicans originally called the Whig Party?
That's correct.
The Whigs?
That's Republicans.
Named after those ridiculous powdered wigs that came from British Parliament.
Two men, both great and flawed. With the July 4th holiday upon us, I wonder if such men or women are still born today in America.
Well, July 4th is over, but it's a good article, nevertheless.
While I believe people come to greatness out of some plan, they are ready for greatness when it arrives. If there is a unifier to what brings upon that something extraordinary that lies buried within the human soul, it is a challenge toward both self-sacrifice and public sacrifice. The founders, for various reasons, sought to break free from the British Crown. And when you think of how they convinced enough colonists to make that leap of faith before cable television, before Twitter, before indoor plumbing, for gosh sakes, it is a remarkable achievement.
You imagine in the dead of winter going outside to the outhouse? I think they probably use those porcelain potties and just dump the shit out the window. There's no way I'm trekking through the deep snow to go piss and shit. You can.
Of course, the compromise on slavery is something we as a nation are still paying for.
Oh yeah, the founding fathers kept slaves in the Northeast. It wasn't even away down south in Dixie. It was in the Northeast.
So great a societal sin cannot be washed away. Adams was not a brilliant president. The Alien and Sedition Acts were an 18th century version of Donald Trump's travel ban.
Yeah. Hey, let me tell you, the Amish, I believe, did not keep slaves. They were not lazy. They worked their farms.
Yes, they did. Jefferson, for all his talk of liberty and equality, like George Washington, owned slaves.
Yeah, they had their plantations. They made big bucks. I'm sure they partook in the most attractive slave women. They had their gumadas.
But these were great minds, bringing things greater than themselves into being. And it is the shared respect they had for each other's intellect and commitment to America that brought them back together as two old men of letters.
Okay.
Former presidents often formed friendships. Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush. They understand the struggle of the job. So whether they were effective or not, they each were aware of their place in a long line of presidents that began with Washington, then Adams, and Jefferson. While I cannot say I was a big George W. Bush fan, his respect for the office of the president, perhaps cemented by his bond to his father, who had preceded him, was never in doubt. His reticence during the Obama administration was a model to be followed. Which brings me now to the current president, who behaves as he always has behaved, like a very rich, privileged man accustomed to getting his way.
Yeah, a coddled, spoiled child, yes. And if they don't get their way, they take a tantrum.
Anyone who thinks a septuagenarian billionaire is going to radically change behavior patterns is a fool. America got exactly who it elected.
Well, look at the people that showed up at Donald Trump's rallies. He he pretty much behaved the way they think. The lowest common denominator, like what's his name? Hawkins, Stephen, the astrophysicist.
Stephen Hawking?
No, who's the man with Lou Gehrig's disease? The genius astrophysicist.
Stephen Hawking.
Or his name is Stephen Hawking. Yeah. He said the Trumpanzees, I mean the Trump voters, are America's lowest common denominators.
Yeah.
Astrophysicist, quantum physicist.
Physicist.
But one of the legends.
And it elected Trump. Democrats nominated Hillary Clinton as their foil to him and in the 2016 election because they are not in the founders' time. Entitlement is good. Entitlements, not so much. Clinton's claim to the White House came from standing by her husband. Regardless of her intellect or talents, she did not come that close to the White House because of great leadership. She and Trump were both brands.
Hey, they're just what the oligarchs, they wanted Trump and Clinton. They certainly don't want Bernie Sanders, who is the true winner if we lived in a fair and just and uncorrupted America.
And while he was far better at identifying a national hunger than she was, syndicating a national hunger game is not the same as creating a society that has no need for or desire for such a thing. We do not live in an age of selflessness or brilliant minds. In fact, we live in an age when the search for knowledge is seen as an elitist pursuit. Charles Dickens, brilliant, A Tale of Two Cities, makes Sidney Carton the hero, while Madame Defarge is a villain, intent on revenge without a reason. Today, Carton is the fool, and Defarge the smart realist. Anger is cheered as honesty. So is incivility. Where are our Adamses and Jeffersons? I have read that Adams probably did not say Jefferson survives. No matter. What is important is that the two men lived at the same time in the same place to inform a great nation. Trump talks much about making America great. The founders did not talk. They did. They made it a great nation.
Okay. With that said, it is time for us to break for lunch. We will be back after lunch with the balance of this show, the second half of this show, which will be the following video, which is listed numerically in the title. I think this is, I believe this is the 605th video show that we have ever done. Part 2 will be the 606th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm tired.
No, we haven't done 600 consecutively without sleeping. No, this is over. It's over the years, but we'll see for the second half. Oh, I'm gonna do promo at the beginning of the second half of the show. All right, all right.
Okay.
All right.